Hi, it's Damon Clark from PI Hacks, stroke talent optimizers. So today I'm going to dig into the Predictive Index Inspire software, and that's for new software 2.0, as they call it. And just a little reminder, PI updated recently from 1.0 just to improve the user experience and move to a platform where they could update and basically future-proof it. So it's a great solution. It contains a lot of the features from the last solution, just a slightly different user experience and some additional features as well. But today we're going to look at Predictive Index Inspire, which is their coaching tools. So here we go. So as you can see the screen, we're on the home page. Remember, if you do not have the modules, they'll be kind of grayed out and you won't be able to access them, but this is our demo account, so we have all modules. And you'll see the home screen, we've got the usual quick links. So we've got the employee directory, we've got user permissions where we can adjust. There's a lot more functionality in PI's user permissions nowadays. We can create jobs, we can create a design team and use that amazing team discovery tool, and we can do a kind of one-to-one relationship guide. Actually, this is not their one-to-one relationship guide. This is their Perform software, which is a whole different story. We're not going to jump into that today. We're going to stick to Inspire. I'm going to get distracted because Perform is amazing. It's performance management. You can track goals. You can hold meetings and bring in the behavioral data. But I'll save that for another time. Then you can look at some jobs, some candidate assessments, employee assessments here, and then you've got the main modules up the top, and you've also got the main modules on the navigation bar. But we're going to dig into Inspire. Here we go. So this is the Inspire home screen. We can send assessments up to the right corner here. There you go. Can we come back? Let's get back. So we can send assessments, look at assessments. This is going to have my snapshot here. Now, I love the snapshot because for the most part, the snapshot is all you need. And particularly in the early days of PI, when you're just figuring it out, you don't want to complicate employees with too much information. So it's a great way to kind of quickly understand your profile and make PI more sticky. Now, at a later date, you may choose to go deeper into the profiles, but initially, that snapshot's quite easy. I call it a snapshot. It's like a card. So this is my one. I'm a Maverick. Notice my very wide Six Sigma Maverick pattern, which is quite unusual. Most profiles, I think it's like 78% within the first Sigma either side, so a lot more narrow. And I can kind of click on more here and go deeper into my profile if I need to, but we're not going to do that today. We're going to stick here. And then we can do a relationship guide. I can put 2 different employees in there, and I'm going to dig into that a bit more later. We've got recently viewed here, and then you've got manage employees. Remember, there's 2 places you can search for other employees in Inspire. There's the search bar in Inspire, and the top right-hand corner, when you're on the home screen, you can also do a quick search there. So let's go to manage employees. Here we go. And it's going to give a list of all my employees. Let's just pick a random one. Let's go with Alex. Here we go. So let's look at Alex's profile within the software. The software is very much designed to get users into the software. So if you're an administrator or an account owner, don't be shy about inviting everybody into the platform and getting them use it. That's what it's designed to do. So I'm looking at Alex now. And Alex is a scholar. So at the top, we've got a little snapshot at the top. Then we've got her behavioral pattern below. Before we get onto this, let me switch to the behavioral report. On the left, we can go to the traditional behavioral report. So it's going to give you a very much text description on Alex's profile as a scholar. So we're going to go through a general report, strongest behaviors, management style, influencing style, and some behavioral details below. Those details below are quite important because if you want to move someone's profile into a different platform, you're going to want that score ID and assessment date. So if you need to find it, just remember it's at the bottom here. Okay, let's zoom up. So I'm going to go back to the snapshot here and just point out some features on the snapshot. First of all, we've got a little button here, which is going to put us into the full descriptions. As I said earlier, the beauty of PI is the ability to stay quite high level and then get deeper if you need to. So this is a case where you may want to get a little bit deeper and understand the primary factors, which are dominance, extroversion, patience, and formality. And it's going to give you a little bit of detail on the drive and the needs and some descriptions here, so we can dig a bit deeper. We've got objectivity at the bottom. Remember, that's a decision-making drive. So that's kind of treated a bit different from the four primary drives. Now, a lot of information there. We'll save that for another session. But I'm going to click off that, and I'm going to give you a little bit of a cheat code. So the strongest behavior is always going to be the furthest from the midpoint. So you can see the ABCDs here. The strongest behavior is going to be the furthest ABCD. So in this case, it's the B. It's furthest from the midpoint. Now we call it low. Low's not better from high or worse from high. It's just the way we read it. So this Alex has got low extroversion. And it's each sigma, a little line, 1, 2, 3. This is a sigma and a half low, or we can sometimes say very low. Got a very low extroversion. If it was further along, it would be extremely. If it was closer to the midpoint, it would be moderately. But we're going to say a very low B here. Now, what that means is, well, let's talk about the B first. That's the behavioral drive for social interaction with others. So it's quite low. It's also a thinking style. So high B, we're going to get someone who likes to brainstorm and think out loud. Low B, we're going to want to reflect on decisions and probably use a bit of data to do so. So that bit's often missed in the B, so just remember it's also a bit of a thinking style. But to make this easy for you, if we look at these cards here, now I would like them to have the A, B, C, D on them, but I know the fact it says let me think it through, it's referring to the B. And what you'll notice here is the B is furthest from the midpoint. So when something's further from the midpoint, it's more pronounced. The behavior is more predictable. The volume's higher. So you'll notice the B is here. So it starts with the B. The next drive is the C. I know stability is C. C is the behavioral drive for consistency and stability. So it's looking at the C. Difficult to tell here, because for B and A, or C and A are quite close together. And then it's going to go to the A, the behavioral drive for dominance, which is to insert influence on people and events. So you'll notice that the software prioritizes for more predictable behavior, which is for B. So it's going to be a little bit of a shortcut for you, and it's going to help you out. Then it's going to go through a little bit of information on the objectivity, preferred work style, strengths and caution areas. I use these strengths and caution areas quite a lot because I do a lot of workshops focused around how we can use strengths more in your day-to-day, outside your day-to-day, and progress towards them in the future. If we can use our strengths, we're going to improve engagement and retention. We're hardwired to want to fill those strengths up or to use them. And also, I do the same with caution areas. I look at how we can reduce the impact of those caution areas. So if you haven't got a lot of time, just sticking into these strengths and caution areas are fantastic. If you have a bit more time, you may want to share the personal development report and dig deeper into each of the ABCD strengths and caution areas. I'm going to show you that later. But initially, if you've got a little bit of time, or maybe you've got half an hour in a meeting, you could do those exercises. And then last of all, we got factor combinations. Now, factor combinations are how the ABCDs interact with each other. So there's 6. And what this is going to do is prioritize the factor combination, which is the furthest apart. So this would be the B and the C. So this is the factor combination that looks at quick to connect, or takes time to connect. We call it action, or connection, should we say. And if you notice down here, it's prioritized here. Now, the second one's task orientation, which is AB. If we look up here, we notice the A and B is quite far apart here. So when looking at a person's individual behavior, I usually look at primary factors, the ABCDs, furthest from midpoint. Then I move to a factor combination and the widest factor combinations crossing the midpoint. You're always going to get more information out of manually translating a readback, but that takes some time and you normally have to jump on a PI certification course. Let us know if you want to do that. But using the software is going to take a little bit of the heavy lifting out. It may not be as detailed as translating on your own, but it's going to give you some really awesome information. So I know Alex here, she or he is going to want to take time to think it through. They're going to want stability. They're also going to take a little time to connect and they're going to be quite task orientated and formal. And that's what I'm reading from this. Okay, let's move on to the next bit. So we can go on to a relationship. Now, this is going to bring me and Alex in. If we want to explore two different people, we can just click on this button here and bring up the relationship guide page. And I can take myself out and I can put someone else in. But this is a great example to talk about the magic of behavioral science. Now, if I don't know I'm a maverick and I need a meeting with Alex and I don't know she or he's a scholar, I'm going to be quite comfortable walking up, interrupting them and asking for them information. Now, I may not even know what I'm asking about. I may not even have the question figured out in my head yet, but I would go up, have a talk. Now, for Alex, he or she, or should I say they could quite possibly be really irritated by this. This could be the most frustrating thing for them because they're a scholar. Now, knowing I'm a maverick and knowing they're a scholar, I'm going to do things differently. I'm going to, just for the names, not even looking at this report, and we'll look into how accurate my interpretation here is in a second. But knowing they're a scholar, I know they can be headstone focused and they'd like information. So I'm going to probably send a meeting invite with an agenda with the information I need ahead of time. And that's how I'm going to get a productive meeting with Alex. So let's look at what the software says. Okay, so here we go. So it's going to go through some relationship traits, some relationship cautions. There you go. Damon is eager to start a conversation and will typically be the communicator of Alex. Like I said, I'm probably just going to walk over and talk to him. I'm going to have broad ideas, but Alex is going to be good at translating Damon's suggestions into specifics. So it's going to give me some relationship traits, some cautions. Let's have a look. Alex may be overwhelmed by Damon's eagerness to have a conversation, and Alex may politely seek to shorten or avoid interactions with Damon. Just think about that. That's where friction often comes from, particularly maybe employees with less awareness or experience sometimes. That kind of manifests itself in friction and conflict, yeah? Alex may feel Damon communicates without getting to the point, whereas Damon may feel like Alex is too focused on the details. Again, potential huge friction there and conflict. So it's going to give me some tips. Okay, Damon should set up time to speak with Alex while I'm dropping by. So as I said earlier, I kind of just from understanding for reference profile namings, it helps embed better communication in your organization. So some great tips there. Then we're going to break down into some more detailed tips, and it's going to go through some tips to make a more productive relationship. And these can be workshop exercises or exercises individuals should work on together. Maybe it's a manager relationship, but I'll definitely be exploring these features. And yeah, there's relationship. We can see that conflict on, particularly on the B here and the C and the D. Look at this. Trying to think the widest conflict here is probably B's. So again, I'm going to think about brainstorming, thinking out loud, and whereas Alex is going to want more time to think and a bit more reserved and wants to reflect on decisions. There you go. But as I said, the report here, relationship guide, kind of sort of brings this all out so you don't have to manually look at these ABCDs and figure out what they are. Okay, on to development. So here we go. So development, as we said earlier, this is the personal development chart. So this is going to go into strengths and caution areas and coaching tips on each of the ABCDs. Now, remember, the strongest behavior on Alex is the furthest from the midpoint. So that B is typically going to be the one that resonates maybe more with Alex, and somewhere, possibly the one we're going to want to spend more time on. Maybe not, but it's definitely the more pronounced behavior. So we go strengths, caution areas, coaching tips. As I said before, if one of the workshops we explore using strengths more, utilizing strengths and reduce impact of caution areas. If I had a bit more time, I would go into the personal development chart and do it on here because it's going to be a bit more detailed. Okay, and on to the management skills. Now, this is the same as the personal development chart. It's just you as a manager. So Alex as a manager, what or their or his or theirs strengths going to be, what their caution area is going to be, and some coaching tips from the manager. We're all going to manage differently depending on our style. So the same type of report here. And then it goes on to self-concept. Now, self-concept is PI measures yourself, which is think of it as your DNA. It's hard-baked, doesn't change much. Now, your self-concept is how you perceive you need to adapt according to others. I'll say that again because it's a bit of a mouthful. Your self-concept is how you perceive you need to adapt according to others. So the important thing to remember about self-concept is a shelf life. I think it's 3 to 6 months. It changes, and it's how you're kind of stretching. And now we all stretch, particularly leaders. We always say you don't start off as a baby CEO and become a big CEO. You're normally in finance or you're in sales, and suddenly in a CEO role, you're having to look at numbers all day when you come from a sales background. So there's going to be natural stretch. All leaders, in fact, often come from an individual contributor's role and then find themselves in a very much different job behaviorally. So stretch is natural. If we find ourselves stretching significantly for a long period, that's going to manifest itself in stress, and the individuals are going to become tired and maybe struggle with that. So it's something to bear in mind, particularly if it stretches a long way away, a factor combination flips, or you grow over midpoint. So here we go. So looking at Alex's profile, we got some stretch on the A. So naturally, she's moderately high dominance and a stretching to moderately low dominance. So that's the behavioral drive to an influence on people and events. On the high side, independence. On the low side, she or he is having to be a lot more collaborative, which is a stretch. Same on other, there's a bit of a stretch on the B there, not so significant because it's on the same side. But the one I'd be looking at for Alex is really figuring out what's going on. Maybe she's having to launch a cross-departmental team initiative. Yeah, that would be a good example. And maybe it's just for a short time. At least we have this information and we can understand why they're maybe a little bit stressed and uncomfortable. But when interpreting this data, you want to sit down with Alex and kind of explain what you're seeing. And normally the person you're explaining it to will kind of talk it through with you and it will kind of come out naturally. But here we go. There's information on how to interpret this, and then some further information on applying self-concept. As of this time, April 2025, we can't update the self-concept in the software, but I believe it is a request on their feature upvote website, and it's quite a popular request. So I'm hoping PI are going to add that. Please, because it's a great coaching tool and we do a lot of coaching programs with our clients. But watch this space and we'll update you when we hear about that. Okay, moving down, we got management tips. This little bit confusing on the naming here. Think of personal development, management skills, self-concepts, all about Alex's own behavior. Now, management tips is for me to manage Alex. So it's going to give me some tips on how I want to manage Alex. Now, we used to say, for golden rule, treat people how you want to be treated, but we can now do the platinum rule, which is we can treat people how they want to be treated. And this is how to think of this guide. So management tips is going to help me manage Alex. It's probably going to pick up some similar themes to what we discussed earlier about a maverick interrupting a scholar. It's probably going to give me some suggestions to book time and give more details. Let's have a look. Giving Alex thoughtful, timely feedback in private, including Alex on projects that require careful reflection and thought. Oh, giving Alex a time to reflect on conversations and craft a thoughtful response. When I said earlier about I probably want to send an agenda and some information ahead of time. Okay, so that's the development guide. Now, unfortunately, Alex is not set up in a job. So I'm going to quickly zoom out in a second and find someone who's actually set up in a job, and we can look at the coaching guide. But I'm going to skip that and come back to that and go to explore other jobs. I love this feature. So maybe Alex is getting to a point in her career where she's done the job a few years, getting a bit bored, wants to change. And this gives us an ability to check out other jobs she may be a good fit to. I haven't got many jobs in here, but if you've got all your organization jobs, it's amazing. Sometimes you can find a completely different job which suits the employee behaviorally. So maybe she's a great inside sales manager here. 5. Have a look. Yeah, 5 stars out of 5. Maybe she's in client success. She or he's in client success, and maybe this is just something she or he's never considered and something we can move them over to. Okay, let's check out that coaching guide. Here we go. Okay. Unfortunately, this is my demo software, so I can't quite show you the coaching guide, but effectively what the coaching guide does is map Andrea against her job, which was built in the hire product, and looks at that misalignment and suggests some coaching tips. So for this example, let's look at the D because it's quite far out. So remember the D's formality, the behavioral drive to follow rules and structure. So here, Andrea likes a bit of rules and structure. She's going to want to follow a playbook. She's situational, but let's just pretend she's a bit further along. Because situational, you may take bits from either side, and the job requires someone who's comfortable not working within a structure. So it's going to give some coaching tips based on that. So that is the coaching guide. Sorry, I can't show you. It's a demo software. Last of all, I want to show you is one last thing. We're going to dig into anyone here and just show you a few. Let's go back to Alex. A few other features. Here we go. So up here, if we press this button, we can download full behavior report, a placard, which I strongly recommend putting behind everyone's desks. It's going to help loads. We can download all these details here. Here we go. Download items. And that's going to put into a PDF. And here we go. And that's going to put all those information in PDFs we can send out. Quite often in workshops, I print out, and that's what I use. That's it. So that is Predictive Index Inspire. As I said earlier, they moved to this new software so they can update it and make feature enhancements. So I'm going to be updating this video at some point, pretty soon, I expect. But same functionality as the old PI software, just some additional features, and the user experience is a little bit more smooth. Please, please, please don't forget to like and subscribe and make some comments. It helps us with our algorithms. We produce these videos to spread the predictive index message, better work, better world. So all help is appreciated. Any questions, please put in the comments or contact us directly. Thanks so much.